Just make your way into a seated position. Either kneeling or cross-legged is fine, either way. And just take a couple moments here to just get grounded. Notice the lower part of your body kind of softening a little bit downward. That can include your knees, just kind of relaxing a little bit more. Just welcoming a softness into the hips and the pelvis. Sometimes I even like to kind of just bring my hands onto my hips, just kind of encouraging that downward motion of energy to soften that space at the pelvis a little bit more. You can take a couple breaths with your hands on your hips if that's comfortable for you. And from that grounding, you can imagine the spine lengthening up and out of that space. Maybe even draw the belly button back towards the spine, kind of scooping in the navel here. Lifting the center of your chest. And at any point, you can release the hands, rest them on your knees or in your lap in an easy, effortless way. Feel free to close your eyes or keep them open, whatever you're most comfortable with. And just take a couple big breaths here, inhaling slowly, and exhaling slowly. And as you slow down your breath, you might encourage that same kind of slowing down to happen in the mind. If thoughts start to bounce around in the head, see if you can maybe label that thought that pops up with just one word and just kind of let it float by across the mind. Just for the next few moments, sitting, breathing, and letting thoughts pass by. Just kind of using this little meditation technique to just listen a little deeper. So when we notice what's going through the mind, it's just acknowledging, noticing what's going on within, not to cover over anything, but just to bring light, to bring awareness to what's right here, thoughts and sensations. You can gently bring the chin down towards your chest. And feel free to keep that meditation going if thoughts start to pop up. Just easing back into what's right here, letting thoughts float by, slow down your breath. You can open your eyes here just to bring awareness back into the space around you, and then just lift your gaze and we'll make our way down onto the back. So if you have some kind of prop to lie back on, just to kind of open the chest initially, you can grab that bolster or even blocks, bringing a block between your shoulder blades can feel good. We won't be here for too long, so if you don't have anything to rest on, just lie down on your back and just kind of bring this real open, melting sensation across the chest as you open your arms out into a T. Maybe walk your feet wide towards the edges of the mat. You can drop your knees in towards one another, or even extend your legs here, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Just taking about 3 to 5 more slow breaths here. With each exhale, see if you can welcome a softening sensation across the chest. Almost like the shoulders were melting down towards the sides of the mat. If you are resting on some kind of prop, you can gently just flip your hands to face down to slowly just lift yourself up and slide that prop out from underneath you and roll onto your back. Rolling onto your back here, we'll just roll onto the left side to start, stacking your right hand on top of the left, stacking the right knee on top of the left. So you're rolled onto your side here. If you'd like to bring a blanket or some kind of prop under your left ear, sometimes that can feel more comfortable. Resting it on the ground is fine too. On your next inhale, we'll just trace a big half circle with the right hand up and overhead and just peel open into a spinal twist. And then right away, just retracing that path, fingertips stretch up and overhead, and then stack the hands again and just start to move like that a couple more rounds here. Inhale to open, and exhale, closing the circle back up. As you reach up and overhead, see if you can find that extension from your hip crease up through the right fingertips and all the way around. So we're kind of warming up the shoulder here and the spine. Let's take about 2 more rounds of this little flowing motion, peeling open, closing back up onto your side. The next time you're open into your twist, just stay there for a couple of breaths. So take a little bit of time to even out your back on the ground. Let your knees be heavy to the side. And again, that melting sensation of the shoulders. Let the head be heavy. Let your next inhale travel up into the rib cage. Exhale moves down to the tip of the tailbone. One more big breath like that. And then exhale brings you back onto your side, just closing that circle back up. And then roll all the way onto your back and roll onto your right side. So doing that same little flow on the other side. Left hand stacks on top of the right. Knees hug close towards your chest and then just slowly peel open. Right arm reaches up and overhead. And then exhale brings you back over to the right side. Thinking about 3 more rounds, maybe a couple more if you like how this length and stretch feels, just moving, breathing, and eventually just meeting in that twist. So you can decide how many rounds of this flow you'd like to do. Once you feel ready to settle into your twist, just hang out there for a couple breaths, opening and softening. You can bring your gaze over towards your left fingertips. The knees are heavy, the shoulders evenly planted, so you may need to readjust your back a little bit on the ground, your upper back. Big belly breath up into the rib cage. Full exhalation here, softening. And then one more, inhaling. Exhale, just closing your circle, retrace that path onto your side. And then just roll onto your back. We'll do one more pose here, reclined, bringing the soles of the feet onto the ground. We'll come into our bridge pose. So hands down at your sides, feet planted about hip width distance apart. Draw the knees forward, lift the pelvis off of the ground. Just take a few big breaths here, pressing the upper arms into the ground. We'll take a little lift of the chest up towards the chin, just to make some more space in the chest here. Noticing all the muscle groups that are working here, keeping strong in the legs, the glutes, the core, the center of the body. Take one more inhale, and then exhale, just melt the spine down, nice slow release. Lifting for one more, you can lift the hips up, and this time, feel free to interlace your hands below the back if you want a little more chest opening, kind of Walking your shoulders a little bit more under your body. Press the upper arms down. Lengthen the knees away from the chest. Lengthening from the inside out here, that inner to outer awareness. One more inhale. And exhale to come down. Nice slow release here. We'll make our way to tabletop next. So you can roll onto your side or rock front to back. Just making your way there in your own way. And then just grounding into your tabletop position. So the hands line up under the shoulders or maybe slightly in front of the shoulders, knees under the hips. And just start with a little rocking of your hips side to side. And then take that rocking into a full circle. So just moving the hips forward towards your wrists and then all the way back towards your heels, as far back as you can. Another big circle in that direction, just grounding through your palms. And then when you reach the hips back towards the heels, switch the direction of your circle. Just 2 big circles in that other direction, warming up the hips, the sides of the body, keeping that slow, steady breath. We'll just meet back in the middle, just tabletop position, regrounding the hands, ground your knees, take a full breath in, a full breath out, and then kind of reach your chest towards the front of the mat, kind of lengthening the chest forward, maybe even look forward. Extend your right leg back. Toes can be on the ground here or hover them, reaching through the heel, pressing evenly into your hands. Kind of warming up the center of the body. See if you can lift the right inner thigh up towards the ceiling. Tone the low belly. Take one more inhale, and then we'll hug in, round through the center, knee to nose. Press into the ground. Just lengthen through the right heel here, and then drop the right knee down. Take a full breath in, full breath out. Inhale your left leg back. So same thing on this side, just reaching through, toes on the ground. If you'd like a little more of a calf stretch here, or hover for a little more strength. If you are hovering, imagine your left thigh bone hugging back into its socket, kind of connecting that whole part of your body here, low belly, hip, thigh. One more full breath in. Hug in through the center, knee to nose, just rounding in here, and then lengthen back. Reach the chest forward, and then drop your knee down. Full breath in. Draw the knees wide and set back into your child's pose. Just taking a couple breaths here. And just check in with how your hips feel. If the hips are really tight today, feel free to just rest your forearms on the ground and set your hips back a little bit or a lot. Just kind of seeing how this pose feels for you for the next few breaths. Again, connecting to that deep belly breathing, inhaling up into the ribs and exhaling completely, kind of emptying the torso of breath. Your next inhale brings you up into your tabletop. Slow transition forward onto your hands and knees. Extend your right leg back. This time, bring your toes onto the ground, bring your heel onto the ground, and kickstand the left foot out to the side as you peel open into this side plank variation. So we're reaching up through the right fingertips, maybe reach forward so the right arm kind of drops alongside the ear. Press into the outer edge of your right foot, and then maybe start to peel the chest down, almost like you're gonna high five the ground with your right hand. You can even touch it down if you want, and then just peel back open. Inhale, and then exhale, just kind of rolling the chest down, and then rolling the chest back up. Just one more of those. Exhale, rolling down. Inhale, peeling open. And then just slowly come back to your tabletop position. Realign the legs. Take a full breath in, full breath out. Left leg extends back, toes come down, heel comes down, kickstand the right foot out, and then just peel open. Just lengthening through that side of the body, finding that connection downward through the knee, through the hand, through the outer edge of the left foot. And then maybe find that little flow, just peeling the chest down, rolling the chest down. and then lifting back up. Exhale to lower, hold time, keeping this awareness in the center of your body. Belly button hugs in, steady breath. On your next exhale, come back to your tabletop. Nice slow transition here. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Tuck your toes. Lift the hips for downward facing dog. And just take a couple big breaths here, warming up the legs a little bit. Spread your fingers wide. Press into the ground with your hands. Lengthen your arms, lengthen your back. Maybe bend your knees a lot or just a little bit. It's kind of giving your low back, the backs of your legs a little bit of a break, a little bit of release. On your next inhale, scoop the navel in towards the spine. Let your exhale soften the heels a little closer to the ground behind you. And then look forward. Tiptoe your feet to your hands and see how long you can keep your hands on the ground. And once you need to, you can kind of peel the hands up and then just fold over the legs. Feet are under the hips, standing forward fold. Head is heavy, belly is light here. Root down through your feet, little bend in the knees as you rise all the way to stand. Arms stretch up and overhead. And then dive forward. Exhale, fold forward. Go to a slow sun salutation A here. Lifting halfway, take a big breath in. Hands to the shins or thighs, lengthen here. One more inhale, lengthening armpits away from hip creases. And exhale to fold. Bring your hands onto the mat. Step to your plank pose. Take a few breaths in plank here, pressing into the ground with the hands, the feet, extending the chest forward. Hone the low belly, lift your inner thighs. Take one more inhale, and then drop your knees, come all the way onto the belly for your Cobra pose. So we'll lift and peel open on an inhale. Feel free to walk your hands out a little wider, kind of tenting the hands up. That can just kind of help open the chest a little more here. Press the tops of the feet down, squeeze the legs together, and then squeeze the front and back of the pelvis together to kind of contain that area, tone there. Take one more inhale, and then exhale, just come down. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes, table or plank pose, back to downward facing dog. Take a full breath in, full breath out. One more of those. Inhaling, exhaling. Make your way to the top of the mat. Nice, slow, steady steps to the top. Fold over the legs when you get there. And then rise all the way up. Big breath in, arms stretch up. Another sun A here. Fold forward, hinge forward. Breath by breath, inhaling to lift halfway, lengthen. Exhaling to step back to your plank pose. Nice steady transitions here. We'll lower down on an exhale, pressing into the ground as you drop to the belly. And then Cobra pose. Inhale brings you up, open the chest. Exhale brings you down, and then inhale up to table or plank. Exhaling back to downward facing dog. Full breath in, full breath out. And one more, inhaling completely, exhaling, and slowly tiptoe to the top of the mat. Take your time, folding forward, and then rising up. Big breath in, brings you to stand. Feet are rooted, long spine. Exhale the hands to your sides this time, just standing mountain pose. 2 big breaths to ground here. Palms can face forward, just lifting the chest here, staying light in the upper body. Chair pose next, we'll just bend the knees and kind of draw the hip creases back. Stretch your arms up and overhead. And just take a few breaths here to kind of get settled into your chair pose. This isn't the easiest pose to be in ever. Just kind of see what it feels like for you today to be in this position. Just noticing little subtleties of the pose, maybe where you feel the pose the most, and what that feeling is, maybe heat, tension, maybe some kind of release even. Take one more inhale.
Exhale to fold over the legs, just releasing into your fold, chin to chest. Lift halfway on your inhale, get spacious here, and then step back to your plank pose. You can flow through that same vinyasa we've been, or just lift your hips up and back for down dog. So your choice, you can lower to the belly, come to up dog or cobra pose. If you prefer up dog, that's fine. Just meeting in downward facing dog. Taking a full breath in, a full breath out. Lift your right leg, sweeping it up. Just lengthen here, and then step the foot between your hands. Warrior one, back heel drops, arms sweep up. Just lengthening here through the fingertips, bend into your right knee. And then maybe bring your hands onto your hips, that same kind of grounding action that we did at the beginning of class. The hands just bring that little bit of extra weight. Reminder to soften in the pelvis. Lift the chest up and out of that space, maybe even look up. And then stretch the arms up just for the last inhale to lengthen, full expression, expand, and then exhale the hands down. Step to your plank pose. Again, you can vinyasa here or just lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your left leg. If you're flowing through that vinyasa, totally fine. Just make your way to warrior one. When you're ready, left foot forward, back heel drops, arms stretch up. So we're keeping this awareness of the pelvis. Sometimes hands on the hips can really help with that. Kind of drawing the right hip forward, the left hip crease back, dropping the sitting bones down, letting the buttocks flesh be heavy. It's one of my new favorite cues in yoga, buttocks flesh being heavy. It's a nice way to think about it. It's kind of lifting the chest here, staying grounded through the legs. Maybe stretch the arms up for the last breath in here. And then exhale, the hands come down. Just step to your plank pose, vinyasa if you'd like. And then lift to down dog when you're ready. Just exhaling back. Nice big breath in here in down dog. Full breath out. And then make your way to the top of the mat. Folding forward when you get there, and then lifting halfway into your chair pose, knees bend, chest lifts, just lengthening. Feet are grounded. Take one more inhale and then stand up. Exhale, hands down to your sides. Let's take a full breath in, a full breath out. And then step one foot back. So we're in a wide stance. So whatever way that works for you. I'm stepping my left foot back just because that way I can face the camera. Point your toes out towards the corners of the mat here, and then bend your knees. We'll come into goddess squat. So your knees just kind of move over your ankles here. And it's almost like the knees are kind of pulling back behind you, and pressing into something back behind you. And then just stretch your arms up and overhead, bring the palms together. Take a big breath in, lengthen here. Exhale, bend your elbows so they squeeze back towards one another, open the chest. Inhale, arms stretch up, reach up, and lengthen the back. Legs stay as they are. Exhale, bend the elbows. We'll just do that 2 more times. Inhale, stretching up. Feel that space in your low back open up here. Exhale, bend the elbows. And 1 more. Feet stay grounded, stretching, lengthening. The hips are heavy downward. And exhale, bend your elbows. Inhale, just stand up. Straighten your arms. Exhale, the hands down to your hips. And then turn your left toes in so they angle in about 45 degrees. Right toes turn forward. Bend your right knee. Warrior 2 position. When you're ready, your arms can outstretch out into a T. Just get settled in here into warrior 2, pressing through your left heel, opening the hips, softening the shoulders, and energetically extending through the fingertips here. Steady breath. Take 1 more inhale, full exhale down into the feet, and then inhale, arms up and overhead. Right leg straightens, palms come to touch. Turn your chest over to the right to frame your front foot, kind of framing the front foot here with the chest, reaching up to lengthen, just like we were in that goddess squat, lengthening the back, lifting the chest up, and then dive up and over your right knee into triangle pose. Left arm heels open. And just take a few breaths here in triangle. You can press your right hand into your right leg here, or bring some kind of prop under your hand. That can be helpful for some space in the sides of your body. Draw the navel to the spine, root through the feet, and then peel open from that space. One more full exhale down into the feet. Bring your left hand to your hip. Slowly rise back up. Right arm extends out, bend into your right knee, and bring your right forearm down onto the right thigh. So we'll come into side angle here, just peeling open. Your left hand can stay on the hip or stretch it alongside the ear here. Just grounding through the legs. Take a couple more breaths. Noticing what parts of your feet are touching the ground, just reconnecting down through the legs. On your next inhale, slowly rise up, just coming back to warrior two pose for a moment, and then straightening your right leg. Bring your hands onto your hips. And again, we'll turn towards the front of the mat. Take a little bend in your right knee so you can just hop your left foot a little bit farther forward. We'll do a little variation of pyramid pose here. So just start by checking in that the hips are turning forward. We'll stretch the arms up, and then imagine the hips lifting up and back as you reach your arms forward, almost like you were pressing into a wall in front of you. So we'll stay kind of in this like halfway lift position, the upper body, pyramid pose, but we're really focused on activating the legs. So we're lifting the right thigh bone up into its socket, squeezing the legs together, and then lifting the chest, almost like Cobra pose here. Staying active in the core. Take one more exhale down into the feet, and then just rise all the way up. Big breath here. You can take two big circles backwards with the arms just to kind of soften up the upper body here. And then just turn your toes forward. Left toes turn towards the back of your mat, right toes angle in. We'll just do that same sequence on the other side. So bending your left knee, warrior two to start. Widen out the legs so you have enough space to feel balanced and steady here. You can stretch the arms out when you're ready. Warrior two. Just broadening across the chest. Steady gaze beyond your left middle finger. So maybe seeing what's just beyond your left middle finger here, even if it's just a spot on the wall. On your next inhale, arms stretch up and overhead, palms meet. Turn your chest towards the front of the mat. Straighten your left leg. Just take a big breath in here, rooting down through the feet, and then dive up and over the left knee. Triangle pose. Peel the chest open. Ground through the legs. Lengthen here through the sides of the body and breathe. It's okay to have a little bend in your left knee if that's helpful for you. Maybe gaze at your right fingertips for a little neck strengthening here, or just gaze forward for a little more release in the neck. Let your next inhale bring you back up to standing, right hand to the hip, left knee bends. Bring your left forearm down onto the thigh, side angle. Take your time here to build your pose from the feet all the way up through the arms. And see how it feels here to flip your right palm face down towards the ground, kind of like we were in that side plank variation, to make some more space through this side part of your back, the right side back shoulder area, just reaching here. One more inhale. Exhale down into the feet, belly button to spine, rise all the way up. Warrior two pose. Just straightening your left leg, hands to the hips, shorten your stance. Just take your time here to get grounded through the legs. Just lifting the chest here. Stretch the arms up, and then lifting the hips up and back as you hinge forward. Press the palms forward. If possible, imagine rolling the shoulder blades back down the back, keeping that connection of arms in their sockets. Press into that imaginary wall in front of you, and then squeeze the legs together. Steady breath here. On your next inhale, rise all the way up, just taking a couple big circles in the shoulders, in the arms, and then turning the toes forward, just step to the top of your mat. Left foot meets the right or whatever foot that you had back. Plant your feet, and then take a big breath in, stretch up and overhead. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at the hips. Lifting halfway here. Exhale to step back to your plank pose. You can vinyasa if you'd like, breath by breath, pose by pose, or just lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in, a full breath out. Lift your right leg up towards the sky. This time we'll bend the knee and start to stack the hip. So the right hip stacks on top of the left. Squeeze the heel in towards your glute here. Lift your right knee really high. Press into both hands equally. And then step your right foot forward between the hands, warrior two. Drop the back heel, cartwheel the arms open. So a little different approach to entering warrior two pose. Lengthen here, and then right forearm to the right thigh, side angle. Left arm reaches overhead for one big inhale. Bring your left hand to your hip. Gaze in front of your right toes. Connect your right forearm to the right thigh. So awareness of that connection here. And then when you're ready, shift into your right foot for half moon. Just shifting into the right leg. Your right knee can stay bent. Left leg lifts off of the ground. Maybe you start to release the right arm, straighten the right leg a little bit, can reach for the ground, or maybe even find a surface to hold on to out to your right, maybe a chair, maybe a block, something on the ground. And then maybe you lift your left arm up as well, finding this full expansive half moon posture. It's breathing. You can keep your right arm on your right leg the whole time if that connection is helpful. Just taking one more inhale wherever you are, and then gently back to warrior two. Big step back, just re-grounding for a full breath in. And exhale, just cartwheeling the hands down, frame the front foot, step to your down dog. Downward facing dog. Feel free to vinyasa here if you'd like that flow in between. We'll just make our way to the other side. When you get back to down dog, lift your left leg, sweep it up, and then open the hip. And starting with that big yawning of the hip open, lift the knee high, squeeze the heel close towards your glute. Lengthen your back even here. Take one more inhale, and then step the left foot forward, drop your right heel, warrior two. Arms outstretched. Left forearm onto your left thigh, right arm sweeps over alongside the ear. Full breath in here to lengthen, and then bring your right hand onto your hip, gaze in front of the left toes, and then in your own time, big step into the left foot, half moon. Right foot lifts off of the ground. Feel free to keep the left arm connected to the leg the whole time. That's totally fine. That can feel really grounding sometimes. Maybe release, maybe extend the left leg a little bit more. Breathing, steady breaths here. Gaze can be down at the left hand, out in front of you, or maybe up at the right fingertips even. Just taking about one more big breath in here. And then big step back to your warrior two. Just take your time here to open, re-ground, big breath in. And exhale, just cartwheel the hands down, step to your downward facing dog. Down dog, taking a full breath in here, a full breath out. Inhale forward to plank pose. Exhale, drop the knees, tabletop position. We'll just take a couple rounds of cat and cow here, just to kind of release and open the spine, moving in a way that feels interesting to you. You might add a little organic movement here. Maybe taking a couple of those big hip circles, shifting side to side, reconnecting to that slow breath. In the next breath or two, just meet back in the center here. Extend your right leg back behind you, just reaching through the heel. And this time we'll bring the right knee towards your right armpit. Really press into your hands. And then lengthen the right leg back behind you so it crosses behind your left leg over to the left side of your mat. And extend through the right heel here as you reach the right armpit towards the front of the mat. Just getting an extension through the right side of your body. Take one more inhale. And then exhale back through the center. Crunch in towards your right armpit. I'll just do one more of those. Extending back behind you. Look over the left shoulder at the right foot. And then back through the center. Just dropping the right knee back down. Tuck your toes. Take a big breath in. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg high. Right leg lifts, inhale, and then step it wide to the outside of your right hand. Drop the left knee down onto the ground. Lizard pose, just taking your time here to sink into the hip. You can stay lifted on your hands or start to bend your elbows a little bit, or maybe forearms come down onto the ground. We're just kind of sinking into the hip here for the next few breaths. Maybe let a breath out of the mouth. Gently come back up onto your hands, root through the left palm, and then start to get a little more active with your legs. So we're pressing the right heel down. Your foot can still be wide. Squeeze the inner thighs together on both legs. So you're sliding your left hip crease forward, right hip crease back. And then just start to peel open to the right. We're peeling open into this twist. If you'd like, you can tuck the left toes, lift the left knee. Just taking a couple more breaths here, legs staying connected to one another. Notice where the center of your body is, kind of peeling open from that space. Just one more big breath in. Drop your left knee if it's lifted. Bring your right hand down to the inside of the right foot. And we'll crawl to the left here, letting your left foot follow back behind you. Left hand to the outside of your left knee. Straighten your right leg as you bring your right hand onto your hip. So a little funky transition here. We'll just do this side plank variation again. This time, stretch your right arm up and overhead. And then maybe float your right foot off of the ground. Just taking a couple breaths here. This can also be known as a modified half moon pose. You might notice how similar that feels maybe to something we were just doing. And another option here is to move into a back bend and a quad stretch, bending your right knee. Grab onto your right foot back behind you. And then gently start to kick back into the hands. Imagine the right shin pulling back behind you. Lift the chest, lengthen through the sides of the body. You might even flip your hand to the inside of your foot for a little different stretch there in the shoulder. Steady breath, holding for about 1 to 2 more breaths here. On an exhale, gently release to extend out. And then bring your right hand down. Slowly walk your way back over to the right here. And as you make your way there, let your left foot follow. The right leg is now straight. So we'll just move into this stretch for the back of the leg. Hands can be on the inside of the foot or on either side of the foot, whatever's most comfortable for you, or just pressing the right heel firmly into the ground. Starting to draw the right hip crease back, lengthen the chest forward, and then maybe soften down a little bit further. On your next inhale, just lift halfway. Exhale, bend your right knee, plant your right foot. Bring the hands onto the ground as you tuck the left toes, downward facing dog, right foot meets the left. Take a full breath in here, a full breath out. Inhale to tabletop, knees drop, hands root, chest reaches forward. Just extend your left leg back, reaching through your heel. Inhale, left knee, left elbow, hug and crunch into the side here. And then lengthen back behind you. Look over your right shoulder, extend through the left heel. Through the center, just one more round of that, just hugging in towards the armpit on the left side, and then swinging the leg back behind you, extend. Nice, just come back through the center, inhale, drop to knee, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg, sweep it up, just lengthening here, and step the foot wide. Drop your right knee, come into your lizard lunge, just sinking into the hip here. Take your time, take a few breaths. And feel free to kind of feel into this shape, shifting side to side, letting the hips kind of soften here. Gently come back up onto your hands. Plant your right hand firmly. Press your left heel, your left foot into the ground. Squeeze the legs together, peel the chest open. And maybe you tuck the right toes, maybe you lift the right knee. Take a couple big breaths. On your next exhale, right knee drops, left hand comes down, and just crawl your way to the right. So we're coming into that half side plank variation. Left leg extends, left hand to the hip, right hand is on the outside of the right knee. And then just peel open, maybe lift the left foot. Breathing in each step along the way. You can bend your left knee, grab onto the top of the foot, maybe start to kick back here. Breath by breath, feeling into the shape that you're in. If you're in that bent knee variation, just kind of noticing what you're feeling here. That half bow shape in the back, that back bend, space in the front of the left thigh, the hip crease. If you have a hold of the foot, gently release it, just extending big for one last inhale. And then exhale, foot down, hand down, crawl over to the left again. Back towards the front of the mat, left toes lift up towards the ceiling. Realigning the hips here in your own time, lengthening the chest towards your left toes, and then gently softening into the shape. On your next exhale, step your left foot flat onto the ground, plant your hands, tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, step back, downward facing dog. Just a full breath in here, a full breath out. Drop your knees and then swing the legs out in front of you, coming into a seated position. We'll bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide, and just get settled into your bound angle shape here. Just sitting up nice and tall, take a big breath in, and then just start to fold forward. Softening, folding, slowing things down. You can let your chin drop towards your chest and maybe even rock your ears from shoulder to shoulder. Gently lift your chest, bring the knees in, and then widen the legs out into a straddle here. So you're sitting up tall, the heels are pressing into the ground, just lifting and lengthening the chest here. And then just fold through the center. So you should feel a stretch in the inside of the legs here. Just holding a little bit or a lot, whatever feels best for you. Just kind of keeping that awareness of length in the back, extension through the heels, space in the hip creases, thigh bones draw back into their sockets. One more big breath in. Exhale, just walk the hands back. Bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. Scoot your seat towards the center of the mat. And then gently roll on down. Nice slow release onto your back here. And once you get there, just bring your hands somewhere where they feel comfortable. Lift your feet off of the ground so the shins are parallel. Feet are flexed. And then just bring the palms together in front of the chest. Extend the arms. And on your inhale, reach the arms back behind you. Lengthen. As you exhale, twist to the left and let the right outer arm touch the outer edge of your left leg. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, release onto your back. Head releases, arms stretch up and overhead. Big breath in. And exhale, twist to the other side. Steady breath here as the belly presses down towards the ground. On your next exhale, release the arms, release the head back, just one more on each side. Lengthening on an inhale. Exhale to twist. Holding for a full breath in. And releasing on your exhale. After you finish that last round, just bring the soles of the feet onto the ground, windshield wiper the knees side to side. And as you drop your knees to the right next time, just let them stay there. Bring your right hand onto your belly, left arm extends alongside your ear. And just take a couple breaths here in this wide twist. Letting your hand receive the breath. One more inhale. Exhale, release through the center and switch sides. Take your time, take a few breaths. Exhale, release through the center and come into happy baby pose. Just holding on to the backs of the knees or the edges of the feet. Just re-softening the low back down towards the ground. Flex your feet up towards the ceiling. Slow down your breathing. You can stay here as long as you'd like. Whenever you're ready, just start to release the legs straight down towards the bottom of the mat, setting up for final rest. Looking at any last little stretches, wiggles, movements. Just letting yourself get comfortable, settled, and still. Take a big breath in through your nose, out through the mouth. And one more of those. Big breath in. Exhale. Softening as you settle in to rest. Shavasana. Let your awareness slowly move back into your body, back into your breath. We'll end here with a little pranayama exercise, a little breath work. And I will invite you to roll onto your belly if that's comfortable for you to rest in that way. And I'm going to just stay on my back so you can continue to hear me clearly. But you can rest on your belly. You can just roll over and stack your hands under, or stack your hands under your forehead as a little pillow. And just kind of get yourself comfortable there, resting on your belly. And just start to notice your breathing, like the belly pressing into the ground as you inhale, filling up like a balloon. And then your exhale just kind of falling out of your mouth. We'll change the breath a little bit here. On your next inhale, pause at the top for about 3 counts. And then exhale for about 5 counts, letting the breath out a little slower. Inhaling for 5 counts. Hold the breath for 3. And exhale for 5 counts. Continuing that slow breath with the pause at the top for about 5 more rounds. As you breathe in this slow way, imagine your inhale filling up all the little areas in your lungs, all the little corners, into the back of your body. After you finish that 5th round of breath, you can just come to a more natural breathing pattern. Just slowly make your way into child's pose if you're on your belly. In your own time, you can gently just start to make your way up into a seated position. Kneeling or cross-legged, either way is fine. Starting to sit up tall, join the hands together in front of the heart. Sealing today's practice with the sound of Om. If you'd like to join in, feel free, or you can just listen. We'll start with a long breath in together. The light within me honors the light within all of you. Namaste. And thank you very much for sharing in practice. Hope you all have a good weekend, and let me know if you have any questions about anything that we did. Hope to see y'all soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. How'd the little one?
Not long.
I was wondering.